Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. In these special edition episodes of Creative Lifebook interviews, I'll meet with co-authors of the book, The Creative Lifebook, to discuss their creative life hacks. We will also touch on how the book has become a springboard for magic. In this episode, I'm connecting with artist Wendy Meg Siegel, the author of Chapter 8, Charting a New Path. Now, Wendy has already let me know that in 2016, she was ready for a major change in her art and created a process for herself to release the old and invite a new way of working. So I'm your host, Caroline Karp, filming from my Clearwater, Florida studio. And a little bit about the Creative Lifebook is that it's full of reflections on the art of living a fully expressive life. And it is written by Jessica Hughes, along with 65 thought leaders, wellness experts, artists, and creatives. And the foreword is written by Dr. Joe Vitale, and Wendy is chapter 8 in the book, right? And so you can literally open up to any page in this book and totally be immersed into living expressive. So, Wendy, let's dial it back to 2016.
Okay. Hi. Happy to be here.
Great.
In 2016, it was February, and I decided I needed a change. I was ready for a change. I felt the energy of possibilities, that I could create anything I wanted. But what was that? And I wasn't sure. So I created this process, which was a personal brainstorming process, where I put sheets of paper. I was also home alone for a few days. So it was really easy to take over the living room. And I hung sheets of paper, newsprint paper, all over the room, on windows and doors and laying out on tables. And each piece of paper was related to something else that I was going to just empty out what I had in my head and what my expectations were, what my hopes and dreams were, and just get that out to start fresh and new. And the idea was that I'm dismantling the old in order to create something new. And by doing this process, it felt like I was opening a doorway to something that I never considered before, never thought of before. And anyway, there was a lot of brainstorming, and it was exciting. And one of the things in terms of dismantling was releasing any expectations that I had about what I might create in the future, because I'm sure I'm not alone as an artist. Getting ideas and storing the ideas. I want to create that one day, and I want to create that, but you only have enough time to create what you have right in front of you, and allowing it to flow what feels right at any point. But still, I was storing all that stuff. So some of the process was getting all the stored expectations out and to leave them on the paper if I decide to do so. And then I moved into, were you going to ask a question?
Yeah. So on these large sheets of newsprint paper, were you journaling? Were you writing?
Or I was listing mostly, but on some of the paper I had positive affirmations. So statements that I wanted to use as if I was my own best cheerleader to help me move forward. Like, I can't think of an example that right away, but something more like a longer statement of I can do it. I can create what I want in my life, and I'm doing it now. That type of thing.
So when I looked at your artwork on your website, and I'll put a connection to your website in the show notes, Am I seeing you writing in Sanskrit?
Well, it came out of that whole process. There's Sanskrit, there's Hebrew, there's ancient Phoenician, there's Latin. I'm not sure if, and there's also one painting with Greek, but mostly what came out of that process was, and it didn't happen immediately, it was over time, I allowed the information that I had processed to just move forward and unveil itself. So little by little in the next few months, I got clarity on how much I'm tuned in and interested in and inspired by ancient languages and ancient prayers and mantras and ancient books. And so I knew I wanted to create a new series that brought that all together. So the work you see on the website all stems from what started to create in 2016.
So I see that it's mixed media, obviously. And I also see, I can see it behind you, is you're playing with a stretched canvas underneath, and then you also have raw canvas, which
Yes.
if people who are listening and can't see what we're talking about, a raw canvas can be unfinished and can be kind of dismantled by pulling the threads. So is that what I'm
So my
saying?
favorite part of the process is working with the raw canvas and fraying the edges,
Yeah,
creating strings from it. As I say, I stringify it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then I have choices. I can fold it. I can, in making it rippled on
yeah.
the canvas. So what I call the process now, canvas on canvas, because I'm creating with canvas and then I'm sewing it or attaching it in one way or another onto the painted back canvas. So the canvas becomes, the stretch canvas becomes the background.
And are you stiffening the raw canvas at all, or are you leaving it nice and soft?
Well, it depends. It depends on what I'm intending to do, what I want to do. So most of the time I'm making it a little stiffer, either by gesso or by medium.
Okay, isn't that so fun?
Yeah,
That I just dove
I,
right into what you're doing. I love it.
yeah,
What
yeah,
I'm also seeing is those strings of connection. So
yes.
talk about, and I know this all connects with what you were receiving with all the ancient texts and languages and connection. Talk more about the connection piece.
Okay. First of all, the word connection itself is probably my main focus in my work.
Yeah.
Connecting to the past, connecting to something inside ourselves, connecting to the divine. But everything has to do with connection. And
Right.
then in terms of the paintings behind me, the connection that's the focal point is the fact that we are all connected to one another. There's an invisible thread between every one of us, not just the ones that are living on the planet at this time, but also the past. It's just we go about our lives as if we're individual and
Right.
not connected to one another. And that seems to come up a lot in my work because I'm pretty conceptual, and that's my favorite concept.
And I think what's happening is that artists are awakening to the
Mm.
fact that actually we're all connected, like just connected thought ways also. Because for me to come up with what you're doing and the exact words. You know, we've never
Yes.
met each other,
No.
right? But we have similar thoughts, right? And the way I express my work is going to be different, but it's stemming from the same place. So I find
Yes.
that fascinating.
It is. I love it.
Yeah. Have you had an experience like that with other artists?
Um, I've had interesting experiences. I have work at a local gallery.
Mm,
Um, and when people come in and I'm there and I get to chat with them, I'm often surprised at how they will look at something and actually speak to me words
yeah.
that are so aligned with what I was thinking or um, the way I work.
Hmm.
Yeah, we pick
Um,
up things from each other.
yeah. So we're both in this book. My chapter is chapter 57, The Art of Expressive Living. Um, and so that's a connection. That's like a tangible thread that we have. Now we have this other thread, which is the podcast. Um, what are your intentions? Do you have special offers that you're going to be putting out that are connected to the book? Um, what's the magic? Is there magic that's going to
Well,
happen?
yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with the fact that for years I've been writing about the creativity.
Mm,
Um, and so the interesting thing is, before this book came to be, I had collated or collected everything I had written and done in the past on creativity for the last, I don't remember how many years. But so I have pieces that, number one, I want to write and make available in different ways. There's an ebook or two. There's an ebook I'd like to write on this chapter, but expand it. I've just produced a freebie on my website. It's available. It's 24 mini creative retreats
mm,
that people can sign up to get. That is, um, they're all able to be created or done within 5 to 20 minutes. That was the goal.
okay.
So little snippets of creativity that people can infuse in their day in order to have a more wholesome um, increase experience in life, to improve their well-being and to express themselves.
Nice. And they can find them on your website? Is that where?
Well, on the website right now, it's there's a little what is it called? The announcement bar
Hmm.
announces it,
Oh, good. Okay.
and it's the link to get it. And when you fill out the I want it page, it's right there. It just pops up. There's a link, and it's accessible right away.
Okay.
But I'll
Um,
do more like that.
I know that you have like right next to you a piece of art that you can kind of show the people who can watch the video and maybe describe one step of your process or a couple, if you would.
Okay. Well, it's not the one I
That's
showed you.
okay.
Um, because I started all of this with creating books on canvas.
Yeah.
Um, I love, that's one of my favorite things. I love to create books out of the cloth. It used to be over a very thick paper, but so you can see
Yes.
that. And then it's sewn onto the canvas. First it's stitched together, the books are stitched together, and then it's sewn onto the canvas. And then anytime I can use some extra threads
Oh, yeah.
and cloth. also I use a lot of papers.
Mhm. And
So this is one example.
are you hand stitching that, or are you using a machine? How do you stitch it?
When I stitch the pages of the book together, I use a sewing machine. When I stitch it onto canvas, I hand sew it. And so with these in the background, there's a lot of hand sewing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're incredible. So
because I'm stitching every little piece.
yeah, I encourage you guys who are listening, watching, to click in the show notes to Wendy's um, website, and you can actually look at what we're talking about here. It's quite incredible. I mean, I'm interested to learn more about it and read into your texts and whatnot. Is there one more thing you want to tell everybody before we kind of wrap it up?
Well, in terms of, I just thought I'd mention, if in going to the website,
Yeah.
I would go to, these are at the online gallery on my website called Canvas on Canvas.
Yes.
But the series that started in 2016 is called Transcription Series.
Yeah.
And they'll be in 2 different places.
That's fascinating. Now, do you have a background in languages?
No.
No, you just became interested.
Probably because years ago I was in love with putting musical notes, sheet music into my paintings, because the look of the music is so beautiful. But as preparing the new series, the thing that Sanskrit is beautiful.
Yeah,
Hebrew is beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a history of knowing how to read Hebrew.
Mm.
I have a history of chanting to the Sanskrit mantras.
Yes.
So I really used what I knew to start. I don't know Greek, but it is in one of my paintings.
Yeah. I mean, it's the letters or the characters or whatever you call them, they almost dance. Just
Yes,
they're so
they
gestural.
do.
Yeah. Like it.
They're beautiful art form.
Mhm.
And one little tidbit about my work, I mentioned that I've put ancient Phoenician into paintings, which I hand write. And that's because I figured out how to translate things, maybe not incredibly accurately, but the ancient Phoenicians aren't here to say you did that a little wrong.
Yeah.
But I can translate things into Phoenician, and it's really fun doing that when I want to put a prayer or mantra into a painting, but I don't want it to be easily
Yeah.
detected.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of writing on the raw canvas, and then part of some of my artwork is it's there, but it's not really there. You might be able to see little glimpses of
Yes.
it in the same way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you
On
for
this
having me
podcast.
here.
And I want to thank everybody out there who are watching and listening as I share my love of fun, connection, collaboration, and art. It would be great if you subscribed by clicking on the subscription button. And being a facilitator of conversation, I pose open-ended questions. And in this case, all I had to do was read Wendy's chapter to learn all about her in the book. So that it's kind of like my little research manual now. But then I just let the conversation flow from there, and you can learn about her. I'll put information in the show notes. And thank you again. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.